Welcome to Quaint Talk Show, where we decode finance and unravel the world economy in just a few minutes. This is Kiran with me, Vijay and Satish, your guide through this intricate world of money matters. Today's topic is World Economic Forum annual meeting, which was held in Davos, Switzerland this year around January 15th to 19th. So the theme for this meeting is rebuilding trust in a fractured world. So, uh, hi Vijay, hi Satish.
Hi, hi, Kiran.
Hi. So, what is this meeting is all about? What is the main objective of this, Vijay?
Yeah. So the World Economic Forum was created around the 1970s, 1971 to be specific. It is a non-profit organization. Main purpose of this forum is to bring together all the different, you know, stakeholders in the business, whether it is the governments or the businesses, and also the community also, the larger community, non-profit organizations and everybody together. So it is a more like a platform, as the name correctly says, it is a forum to discuss and debate various issues that affect the world economy. Now, it is not something related to climate, or it is not a forum only for a specific topic. Unlike other forums like the COP forum, or it could be Paris Accords, or other kind of a forums where the agenda is specific to a particular theme or a topic. The World Economic Forum discusses everything that has to do with the world economy, and it brings together all the stakeholders together so that they can have debate, good debates, and also arrive at consensus, and also to understand the mood, and also what the various economic leaders are thinking as to how to cope with the challenges that are there in this one. So it happens every year, and it happens in a very nice and cozy environment, particularly in the Switzerland,
Hmm.
every year. And it is like a melting pot where during this particular time of the year, everybody, including the media, they all come together and have so many meetings. So the discussions and meetings is one part. The most important thing is also the bilateral meetings, because when politicians and also business leaders come to each other. So on the
Hmm.
sidelines of this particular World Economic Forum, quite a lot of discussions do happen. Businesses can have one-to-one connect, business leaders, particularly the CEOs and the CFOs. The
Hmm.
politicians and businesses can have a one-to-one connect. And most importantly, when the important media houses like the Bloomberg, CNN, and others, or the BBC, when they have the interviews, those are conducted of the business heads, because we don't often have those interviews directly from the business heads on many occasions. But in case of the World Economic Forum, almost all the business heads are there, so you'll find their opinions about the state of the world economy, how they are trying to navigate the challenges and those kind of stuff. So it is an important, you can say, event in the world business calendar, you can put it that
Hmm.
way. And everybody attends it and looks into and takes cues of what these people think about it.
Okay. Thank you, Vijay. So, what are the key topics of focus for this year, Satish? What are your views on this?
Right. Kiran, as you rightly have spoken about at the beginning, right, the main theme or the main crux is all about building the trust across the world, right?
Hmm.
So there are four key themes that have been identified, centering around the rebuilding of trust. The first one being, achieving security and cooperation in a fractured world, right? We have been witnessing heightened geopolitical tensions and a lot of geopolitical risk. And we have been seeing all of that, from Ukraine war to Middle East, Israel crisis, and all of that. So that's where this theme largely was talking. The talks about how do we build a long-term and structured engagement with the governments, international organizations, and experts from all the regions? So that's the first theme. And the second theme being creating growth and jobs for a new era. In the last decade or so, right, the entire world has been witnessing low growth and unemployment, etc., across all the countries. So this theme largely was talking about, how do you build partnerships with international economic organizations and top academicians, and how do you build a framework in terms of building the competitiveness, innovation, and human capital, and which can help in terms of driving the growth across the world and also creating more opportunities and jobs across the world. And the third theme being the artificial intelligence as a driving force for economy and society. And that's something which has been the buzzword for the last 1 year, and it has been bringing a lot of transformation across all the sectors, right? So one of the key aspects that was highlighted here is about how AI can interfere with other transformative technologies like 5G, 6G, quantum computing, and biotechnology. So that's what this particular theme discussion was majorly centered around. How do we extend the role of AI into other transformative technologies? And the last one being, a long-term strategy for climate, nature, and energy. Right? I think we all of us have been witnessing, whether it is the government, whether it is the corporate world, everyone was talking about so much about the climate risk, sustainability, net zero, and in fact, most of the organizations they have built in all these three elements and net zero into their corporate strategies, and that has become the key theme in most of the corporate entities, right? So these are the four themes around which this entire event was being conducted, or all the events that are being conducted.
Okay, thanks. So, what are the key outcomes and how is it going to impact the world?
Right. Some of the key themes, again, so some of the key outcomes when we look at, right, are centered around these four themes that we spoke about. Let's say the first one, the common discussion that most of these leaders have talked about is, speed is the key, right? Fast moving organizations outperform slow moving ones in terms of the operational resilience, financial performance, growth, and innovation. So we're trying to compare how the fast-moving organizations are outperforming the slow-moving ones on multiple aspects, and that is one of the biggest discussion points by the corporate leaders. And then the second one being cooperation and competition, which is called as competition, is vital. So all the industrial leaders have agreed that you need to compete and also cooperate. So leaders can balance cooperation and competition by practicing something called as competition to advance their interest in specific areas, right? Even without alignment elsewhere. So that's where all the corporate entities believe that this is something which is going to help the industry and the economy across. And then one more interesting point that was talked about is the generative AI, right? So which is something which you can't ignore, and this is like a tsunami which is going to never know what all the transformations that it's going to bring in, and it's going to unlock potential and bring in a lot of profits to various organizations and across various sectors, and that is something which all of the leaders have echoed, and they've said that this is something which you can't forgo. This is going to be there forever, and it's going to bring in more and more revolution. And then the other point is about the sustainability, right? They have said sustainability is imperative. You can't ignore it. And navigating to net zero economy is quite challenging, but the companies are taking very, very brave actions to accelerate the value creation and to move towards a sustainable growth or sustainable energy, right? Or net zero. And as I said, this has become the center theme, and this has become part of the strategy of most of the organizations. So these are some of the key takeaways which we can think of, where they're linked largely to the four core themes of the World Economic Forum 2024.
Okay, so when you're referring to this AI, right? So what are the key takeaways from this? How this can be useful into the financial world?
Yep. So let me start by bringing in one of the nice quotes that was given by Satya Nadella, right, the CEO of Microsoft, where he has rightly put it, or he rightly summed up the AI revolution. So he was saying that earlier humans used to understand computers. Now it is the computers who understand the humans. Where that simple statement talks about the significance and the impact that it's going to have. Where AI definitely is going to has dominated the conversations across the board, and most of the organizations are just trying to look at, how we can bring in the AI into some of the jobs or some of the services or some of the product offerings, and how it can revolutionize the way we do the things, the way we offer our services to our client. Okay, so putting that across, right, where we're trying to say that AI is something which will continue to be revolutionizing the world. Some of the interesting thoughts that were put up is, where earlier we have never talked about responsible computer or a responsible cloud, but now we are talking about responsible AI, and that is where ethics and integrity are going to form part of the center of the transformation. And another interesting number that was put up by World Economic Forum, where it says that approximately about 14 million jobs are going to go away by 2030, right? Because some of the jobs like the customer representatives, web-based developers, data entry professionals, like these all jobs are going to go away and taken away by AI. And equally, AI is going to add so many jobs. And there is a huge prediction about the next 1 decade. More than 1 million jobs are going to be created. But it's all about how well uh, are we equipped to train these people, right? How equipped are the talent? How equipped are we ready? And are we ready to embrace that particular opportunity that is existing? That is something which most of the leaders have talked about. So, from a US use case point of view, I have heard, Microsoft founder and the Bill Gates talking about how AI can really revolutionize in some of the sectors. If I have to put it right, he was talking about the challenges in underdeveloped and developing economies, where where there is a severe shortage of doctors and teachers. Especially he was referring to the US, especially he was referring in the African region, where AI can play a very, very vital role in terms of providing education, and where AI can help in terms of converting the content into the local language, and making a lot of courses accessible, and a lot of educational content, making it available, where AI is going to be the tutor, and you can uplift those economies. That's what he was talking about. And then the second thing is the doctor, right? So he calls it as AII. AII. So AI is going to look like a doctor, and with the view of, or with the vision of AI, you will be able to detect, and you will be able to prescribe medicines to these people, especially in the in the underdeveloped and developing economies. So the net point that we wanted to say here is, right, uh, AI is going to really, really, be a big transformer, and it's like a tsunami, and you never know what all kind of changes it's going to bring across the world.
Yep, understood. Thank you. So, Vijay, would you like to add anything apart from what Satish has explained?
Uh, yeah, Kiran, I think Satish summed up nicely the broad discussions that happened at the World Economic Forum this year. Um, there are two concerns. While the AI and everything is absolutely fine, that's exactly the way we are, you know, uh, path that we are marching towards. So AI will be indispensable. There is no doubt about it. Um, in the short term, while this is in the medium term to long term, in the short term, the biggest challenge that I face or the world faces is actually uncertainty and unemployment. Quite a lot of companies today, if you see the interest rates, okay, the interest rates are quite high. These are uh, in some regions, particularly for some businesses, these are unsustainable interest rates, including some companies in the US. So there is a pressure for the government to manage the growth and also to ensure that the interest rates are less. That is going to be a challenge because inflation, supply chain disruptions, inflation, growth, and unemployment. These four things are the immediate requirement. While AI, the growth or the new jobs that are going to come and all that are true and those are inevitable, those are things that we will face, uh, those will develop and we will face them probably, down another 3 years, 5 years and 10 years, and will continue to, even AI itself is going to evolve over a period of time. There has to be some economic models as to how AI develops and all that stuff. Those are all the practical aspects of it. But the main thing is in the short term, in the, let's say, quite a lot of elections are there, whether it's been India or the US and
True.
other places also. One of the challenges of this is that how do politicians address the immediate requirement of unemployment, interest rates? Take, for example, the UK. Last week, I think a couple of days back, this is the second time they are having a technical recession. It has entered into a technical recession. So UK is struggling to maintain its growth, though the current prime minister has promised to revive the economy, but that has not happened. Japan has gone into a technical recession last week. UK has this week. Okay, US uh, is there are many other companies. While the top companies are doing excellently well, relatively and comparatively, but there are companies which are struggling behind the scene, and there are quite a lot of job losses that could be there in the short run if inflation and growth is not managed properly. Add to these uncertainties that are there, the wars that are there, then the supply chain disruptions. All these are things that have not ended. It's been more than 2 years. We have an Ukraine war, we have other wars. There are chances of other wars, so, in Asia and other places that could be there. All these are uncertainties, and we have to somehow manage, the world has to manage these uncertainties. So, in the short run, the biggest priority is to manage these uncertainties and come out of it. In the medium run and the long run, whatever Satish has described and whatever the world leaders have described in terms of what the outlook, those are the things that which will take the economy forward. But I think unemployment is going to be a big challenge. I think many politicians, including companies, particularly with regard to higher input costs, they may not be able to, if there is unemployment and if the higher input costs are there, it is possible that they cannot pass on those higher input costs in terms of prices to the people because people can't simply afford it. So there is a limit to
True.
which how much you can pass on those kind of a you look into food inflation. In some countries, the food inflation is quite high. Take UK, for example, Europe, entire Europe, sub-Saharan Africa. The food inflation, if you look into the IMF reports, the food inflation is one of the biggest challenges in many of the countries. Recently, India has stopped export of some of the rice. Now, that is causing a
Hmm.
increase in the, it is causing severe affordability problems in Africa. So those are the challenges that are there at the in the current year. Once we navigate those, I think in the medium term and long term, all that broader perspective of the world. Satish, any on thoughts on these aspects, the challenges that uh,
Sorry, Satish, we can't hear you.
Sorry. Yeah. From an AI perspective, implementation, one big challenge could be coming up with the regulation and the government being able to bring in moral policing and proper regulation, right? What is right, what is allowed, what is not allowed. And we have been seeing a lot of instances in terms of the deep fake videos which are creating a lot of unrest among the people, right? All of that is something which is evolving, and I think one trend that I can sense is, the developing and underdeveloped economies, the AI penetration and implementation could be relatively easy because the regulations are not, or the regulations could be quite challenging to immediately implement, or there could not be very much stringent regulations. They might be able to come up because always it is the developed world which comes up with the stringent regulation, and then other all follow. So for implementing the AI in the developed world, right, it could be slightly more challenging than in the developing and underdeveloped world. And how the regulation is going to really bring the changes and how it is going to impact is something I think we'll all have to watch out for.
Yeah. And even in terms
Yeah.
of the generative AI, the economic models
Mm.
behind how, for example, let's say you have a chart GPT. Today it is sourcing the data from others. It is not writing the data. It is sourcing the data. Will a Bloomberg or an Economist or BBC give the data for free because they are selling that information and creative content? They have their own subscription models. So if you put data to public this one and there is a AI algorithm which picks up, the question is something is stealing or taking away my data and knowledge or my creative writing or whatever it is. So shouldn't you incorporate some kind of an economic model into it? Because in other forms, if you are taking away data from any of these data sources, they need to be compensated somehow. So the question is, what kind of a compensation structure? What would be the costs, limitations to the data? In fact, if you see many of the articles that are there, some of them have said that we will, stop generative AI access to their data to generative AI. I'm sure that Bloomberg is not going to give an unlimited access to its data to whether it is be Chat GPT or any other things because it sells its data. It's a huge business model. It doesn't want anybody to simply pick it up data from its endpoints and then create its own versions because you can use artificial intelligence to create your own versions, modify the content and give it to for free. But somebody needs to be paid for. There is an author. There is a huge army of people who collect the data. The
True.
question is, how do you run this economic
Monetize it.
models?
Yeah.
Yeah, monetization of these. So these are something that needs to be chalked out. I think they will figure out this over a period of time.
Yeah.
Just to come to that point, right? In the recent times, I have heard and I have seen in articles, right, where there are AI plugins where using them you can actually access the restricted, like Financial Times and some of the international publications, where unless and until you have a subscription, you can't view them or use them. But using these plugins, you are going to have complete access to those articles and the content which is restricted form, where it is in the paid form, right? So that's clearly violation, and which is not acceptable. But through these AI, you're able to do so. I think that's where we're talking about the regulation, which is going to really play a vital role here. Else uh, uh, this is a classic example where most of these publications and the writers and the content writers may just want to stop producing anything.
Yeah, understood. Yeah, I think let's see how the regulations come up in this space, and where this can be monitored, and which can be useful or tweaked into how beneficial it can be for everyone. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah. That's a meaningful conversation. Thank you both, and that ends our talk show today. And we will come up with the next theme soon. So thanks for watching. Have a nice day.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Kiran.
Thank you.
Thank you.